Welcome to another 3D tutorial. We're going to start with modeling and UVing this deodorant container, and this is what the finished product will look like when we're done. We're going to do a low poly version. It's going to be a little bit more work with the texturing. And that's because if we look at these, if we're not going to model in this bottom portion, there's a few editing tricks we're going to have to take to get that to kind of match up. But we're going to kind of focus a little bit more on the texturing, and maybe come back and do a high poly version that we can go over. Alright, to get started here, we're going to create a cylinder. And we'll just start with we'll go ahead and do 16 sides for now. And since this is our front view, on the y-axis, our front is this line here, this axis, so we're going to squeeze that in. And looking at the reference picture, you know, you want to kind of guesstimate your height. We could put an image in here. I'm just kind of looking at the image and guesstimating approximately the height, which this is probably a little bit more squished. So it looks a little bit taller than what it actually is, but it is decently tall. So maybe we can start with something like this, and I'm going to look at my top view here to get an idea, and we want it to kind of be similar to this particular shape, and we're not going to get it totally exact. It looks like it's a wider curve here, but it is about this thickness. So we'll go with that first, and I'm going to right click, edit poly, and get into my modes here. I'm going to take these points here, and on the Y just scale them out just a little bit more, and that's just because I want to get this rounder, because we got a point here and, you know, say a point here, so there's that angle. So I'm pretty close to that. So go into perspective, P for perspective, and click your first point, click your second point, and right click to stop cutting. And that way then I can get the accurate geometry here. And our pivot is centered, so instead of cutting the bottom, I'm just going to go ahead and put a symmetry past it. Symmetry modifier. Or is it centered? Nope, it's not centered. So I'm going to take this edit poly, we'll do symmetry, we'll do the hierarchy here, affect pivot center to object, and then come back. Now, and you see our symmetry gizmo is off. So we're going to have to delete that and reapply the modifier. And do it on the Z up and down. So there we go. And I'm just going to go ahead and collapse that. go to edge mode and double click this edge and drag it up. And this is going to be about where the lid is at, the red lid. And we can pull out the image of the front view of the deodorant can. And here you can see about where it lines up, so we can kind of match about the approximate distance. And it gives you the dimensions right here. So what I could do is grab a plane, front view, drag this out, and I'm going to make this the size of the image, which is 2988 by 5312, and oops, I got those numbers backwards. There you go. And we'll just do one by one, and then we're going to scale this down because it's still the right dimensions here. We just want to make it quite a bit smaller. And then I can just simply drag this deodorant front onto our image here. Well then, I don't know why it's on its side, but I'm going to flip these back and simply rotate this. Or we can just simply type in 90 with the rotate tool, transform coordinates. And you know that works for me, and we can right click, object properties, turn off show frozen in gray, and then we're going to freeze this so we can't select it. And then we can take this here and scale it up and kind of see where we at. And I'd probably line this up with the gray area. You could just do the Alt X will make it invisible, so we want it to line it up kind of at the bottom of the gray on the outside, and then we'll go up to maybe this top right corner, which then we'll put this this top right, and I can move my object forward. And I think I'm going to move this up just a little bit more. There we go. That looks fairly accurate. And if we wanted to go ahead and add in where the gray area would be, we can just do a swift loop and just kind of rough estimate about that much. This is where I like to use the other images where there is a couple better views of the bottom, specifically this one here, where we can kind of see that. Oh, look at that right there. I mean, see? I mean, that just lined up. Whew. Computers. Scary. It's like the program, both programs know what I'm doing. Anyway, so continuing forward, we have kind of the basic shape laid out here, and I'm going to leave these lines so that I kind of have something to edit with. And for the top, I could even go as far as to make this a little bit nicer. We could do a slight inset and move this up a little bit. And I'm going to select the whole element and do auto smooth. And so this is 2. This one's 1. So I'm going to make this 1 and 2. So it transitions from 1, 1 and 2 to 2. So it'll have a nice little fade here so you can see. Oh, I'm in flat color. Let's do. There we go. So you get this nice little detail there. And the bottom, not so much. Just going to leave it. Feels like the picture looks wider, but I feel like it actually is. This picture is a little bit distorted because it is a little bit shorter. Anyway. So this is what happens when you take photos that are a little bit skewed. Because I mean, I could model this a little bit. Why not? We will leave it a little bit taller and wider, like the image here. Then the textures will come out a little bit better, and then we can maybe scale it or squish it after we've thrown the texture on. Okay, so we got the model done here. I'll just call this Deo. Just Deo. And we'll go ahead and UV this, which will be pretty straightforward. Going to select the top here. I'm going to go ahead and do grow. And yes, we are going to quick peel this portion off. Yeah. That's really not the right shape. Do I have anything else selected? No. Okay, so I'm going to do the, under Edit UVs, Quick Planar Map, so we can get a little bit better fit. There's also this Quick Planar, which we could do X, Y, or Z, or Best Fit. I don't know why it's... Gizmo's all wonky. Could try top view maybe, and anyway, so I'm just gonna go ahead and rotate this about flat, and since they're see, the seam on the actual picture is on the left side. I'm going to put the seam on the left side too. So that would be this edge here. Let's convert that. And we'll get this one too. Probably should have reset all of these now that I think about it. To get rid of the green lines here, we're going to click Reset Peel, and then we'll grab our Rotate tool and rotate this into place. And we might have to straighten these edges. But anyway, so there's the seams for this portion of it, and then we have the bottom as well. So let's go ahead and grab the bottom here, and we'll go ahead and quick peel that, and that's throwing a fit, so we'll do quick planar map and rotate that 90 degrees, and there we have it. And of course, to make them the right scale, we have rescale. So those are the right scale, just pat custom. Look at that. Top, bottom, unwrapped. Looks fairly accurate. Let's check. So these look like nice little squares. These ones, on the other hand, they're not the same size. Something going on here. Looks like, and let's just these should be a little bit more spread out because these are supposed to line up with those. And should be a little bit taller. So if we take these two, here, let me move this down for a second. So these two polygons should roughly be about the same size, and they look closer to the same size now. And you can see the rescale is not actually making them the same. So in this case, I'm going to leave it this scale, turn off rescale, and click Pack Custom. Make sure it didn't. It might have still scaled it. I'm not sure, but I'm going to take this whole thing here. Before we scale this, let's go ahead and just line this up with the corner. So I'm just going to put it here as close as I can. And then right here in this top right corner, we're going to do Control and drag it until we get it about to this edge. And as long as we're pretty close, but we can zoom in, press Control and drag again, and get it right before the gray line. So we're pretty close there. And that looks good. There we go. And so now this is quite a bit more accurate. We've got squares that are about the same size at the top and the bottom. Right click on the Unwrap Collapse to, hold yes. And whoops. Well, that's okay. Now they're baked in. We're going to go ahead and render out this template, and we'll do 2048 by 2048. Render UVs and save that as a PNG to your desktop. Now that we've done that, we can go ahead and collapse our modifier so it's baked in and saved.